As much time as I've spent in Texas Chainsaw, I had no clue that this was an issue seriously plaguing this game. But I found this out a couple of days ago, and that's what I'm mainly going to focus on today as I give you the biggest issue facing the Texas Chainsaw right now. Now, I also want to talk about the new character, Virginia, and talk about the new map, which is the Abandoned Mill, and get a consensus from the community. I want to hear your opinion after the video. Tell me where you think the state of the game is. Let me know if you're enjoying it. Let me know if you're having some of these same issues that I'm going to talk about here in a little while. And of course, if you like what I do, consider subscribing and hit your notifications so you never miss a video or live stream from me. Let's go ahead and get into it. First, let's talk about the new character. Now, Virginia is the second item I haven't bought in the Texas Chainsaw. The first one was the Danny outfit pack. I'm not buying that. And then this character at 10 bucks, 10 bucks a pop. I've bought everything up to this point, but these last two things I'm not that interested in. But I will say Virginia seems like a fairly powerful character because she is able to just straight up blind you. You. And I'm sure that effect, gets increasingly stronger, and obviously her cooldown will be decreased as well. But I know I've ran into her one or two times where she sprayed that powder or whatever the heck it was, and it seriously blinded me. So I think it's I think it's a good thing for the victim side. I believe if you have a team with Virginia, and let's say one of you is trying to get the gate unlocked, the other's trying to do the battery. You have just a very limited amount of time before one of the family members comes, and you could, maybe just spray that stuff in their face and then, boom, make your escape. It really is that disorienting. And although I think the family members should have the advantage, just like in every good horror movie or game, this one gives a little bit of an edge back over to the victims, and I think it's a fairly good balance there. And honestly, this is the first time I've spent some real time with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a few months. I mean, it really has been that long, which is kind of crazy considering I was playing this game every day just a few short months ago. But overall, it seems like the power still mainly lies with the family. But regardless, I think this character does a good job to balance the scales just a little bit back over to the victims. Now let's talk about the Abandoned Mill. This is a fantastic map. Gun, for everything that I'm going to talk about in this video that I hate that they do, I really appreciate the map design because it is good. It feels like it would be in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and it's just freaking awesome. It kind of reminds me of Nancy's house, to be honest with you. You have some verticality, a little bit more verticality than Nancy's house. By the way, if you go all the way up the sawmill, there's a window that the victims can jump out of right there. That's the only one I found so far. There might be another one. Let me know down below if you found another window victims can run out of. But there's a lot of verticality, and then of course everything just kind of spreads out from there. Now, once the victims get up and out of the basement, they don't really have to go a long way to get to one of the exits. So you have a ton of different bushes and shrubbery, and a lot of the bushes seem super high. I mean, I was kind of thinking, man, why would they put this many bushes in this game? And even though it does seem a little bit excessive, there's still not a lot of places for the victims to go once they come up and out. So you kind of have to have those things there. Otherwise, they're just going to be out in the open. And so while I think it's a little bit overkill on the bushes and shrubbery, I still, I think that's the only way they really could do it now that I've spent a little bit more time with this map. Now, of course, we have the battery exit, we have the generator exit. Both of those are blocked by two gates. And then, of course, we have our valve and our fuse. It seems like, and I don't know, maybe y'all's experience is different, but it seems like everything is placed where there's no clear advantage for an exit. Now, one thing I will say is that a lot of the times where the fuse box actually spawns, there's a ladder right next to that. So if you don't get that notification super quick. And if you don't have good map knowledge, which is vital in this game anyways, but if you don't have good map knowledge and you can't get downstairs super quickly, that fuse exit could be a problem. So it's just one you really want to make sure that you're constantly checking. But overall, the map feels authentic. And again, Gunn does a great job of this. Virginia feels like a character that could be in this world. So they did a good job with that. Now, let's talk about the ugly part of this review, because that's unfortunately going to be the majority of what this video is about. Now, 2 days ago, I played with one of my friends. I convinced him into buying the game. Hey man, let's try it out. I'm going to stream it. We're going to have a great time. Well, needless to say, the lobbies continuously disbanded. I mean, over and over and over. We would be in a lobby together. We would be talking. I'd kind of given him a rundown of how the game works, and boom, he'd get kicked out. We get into a match. I'd go to maybe back out because, hey, we're not getting into a match. You know, I tried to play as victims, and that's still an issue that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But, you know, I'd go to back out, lobby disbanded. So we tried to play for an hour. We got a few matches in, but the very last game, I mean, he just got DC'd, and he said, screw it, dude, I'm going to go play Call of Duty. And so I totally understand. And I thought, man, I feel really bad because I asked him to play. Well, I tried to solo queue the very next day, worked perfectly fine. Getting in as the victim still takes a long time in solo queue, but I was able to play as the family back-to-back games and had a really good time. The following day, I had that same buddy and one of my viewers that watches my live stream. We all played together, and guess what? 4.5 hours straight, I don't think we disbanded at all. It was one of the most fun nights I've ever had inside of Texas Chainsaw, and it was really cool to kind of get their feedback because they are brand new to the game, and just kind of, you know, seeing their reaction and how brutal the game is and how hard the game can be, especially at first when they're just trying to get their bearings and learning where everything is at, because again, map knowledge is so crucial in the game. But dude, we had a freaking blast, and it just reminded me of what this game can be. But the whole disbanding issue, man, it's really aggravating, and now I see why that's popped up in Muerto Times and all of their updates pretty much since launch. Disbanding issues. I had a friend, we played on PS5 together. I never experienced it then, but now I see what people are talking about. Super frustrating. When we had a full lobby, we were playing as family, boom, we were good to go. Now, when we tried to get in as victim, we still haven't played a single match. And all 4.5 hours, we weren't able to get into a victim match. And I wasn't going to sit there for, 20, 30 minutes trying to do it. It just doesn't seem worth it to me when you can either do quick play or go in as the family. But every time I try quick play, we play as the family anyways. So kind of annoying on that front too, man. It's not as bad as it used to be with the victims, but then again, I'm sure people are waiting quite a long time to get into some of these games. So that takes me full circle to the state of the game now and where I think it's at, where I think it's going, and how I feel about it. First of all, let me just say, these guys have done an incredible job with not only the authenticity, but every new map they bring along is great. We just don't have enough of them. But even more importantly, the in-between time, we have nothing and no reason to grind. So take two of my friends here. They're brand new to the experience, so everything is refreshing and new and cool and all of that. How long is it going to take for them to realize, man, there's nothing else to do here? I've already kind of leveled up. I get what the game is. What else? That's the biggest issue. That's the most frustrating part about this, because we know that Gunn has played around with the idea of bringing some kind of in-game currency, more unlockables, giving us more reasons to just play the game and spend more time in it, in between dropping new content and new maps, which we definitely need more of. I mean, you either have to have one or the other. You either need to have new maps dropping consistently, or you need to have some reason for us to log in every single day. So, number one, that is one of the most aggravating parts about Gun and the way they've approached this whole thing. I mean, think about it, dude. You could go in and they could do a whole Friday the 13th type of thing with like single player missions where you have different set pieces. You play as Hitchhiker, Sissy, Nancy, whatever, and you're tracking down certain victims. And, dude, there's so many freaking ideas running through my head right now that I could put to paper. And if I knew how to develop a freaking game, I could do it. I know that a lot of us could just put that stuff in, and yet none of that stuff has been implemented. Now, one kind of ray of potential sunshine and hope is that they actually partnered with Black Tower Studios, who did work on Friday the 13th. I just hope these guys can add to the creativity of the game, maybe give us more content more often, and bring in a reason for us to actually log in, because this is the best horror movie game that's ever been made. It is beautiful, it's brutal, but it's also been botched at the same time. And I hope Black Tower and Gun can bring this thing back to life. But of course, I want to hear your opinion. If you think I'm totally off base or you agree with what I said, do you think that them just pumping out new maps is the answer to keep people coming back? Or does there need to be a reason for people to log back on as far as in-game currency, unlockables, museum mode? Maybe if they do some of the scenarios from Friday the 13th in the Texas Chainsaw world. I mean, even, I know this sounds like a stretch, and it probably is, some kind of single player mode, and give new players the ability to practice with the game too, because it took us a little while to get bearings for my friends that are brand new players, and you just get kind of thrown in there. So there's so much potential here, and it's so aggravating. But again, that's just my opinion. I want to hear from y'all, and of course, if you like what I do, make sure you consider subscribing and hit your notifications so you never miss a video and live stream from me. See y'all in the next one. And as always, hold them down.